Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome to Hanging With. I'm GW Pomichter. Thanks for logging on and tuning in. If you haven't already, go on down here and hit subscribe for us. Come on back over and over and over again and see who we're hanging with. We are at ReCon 2016, hosted by the Historical Miniature Game Society. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary here at the International Palms Resort on world-famous International Drive in Orlando, Florida. And there is gaming everywhere.
Yes, loads of gaming.
This is fantastic. This is amazing. We are here. We are hanging with Ali Samiian, who is working with the By Fire and Sword team here.
Yes.
Well, Ali, welcome. Thanks for hanging with us,
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on over. Well, tell us a little bit. Let's start at the beginning. Let's start about the game. Tell us about the game.
The game is about warfare in the 17th century, mostly dealing with Central and Eastern Europe.
Wow.
It's a time period that I didn't know anything about till about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
When I discovered the game and I started reading about it, and it's fascinating.
Wow.
During this time period, Poland and Lithuania were joined in a commonwealth by royal marriage.
Okay.
They turned out to be a superpower of their time.
Wow.
I had no idea about it. The problem is they're in a central location, and surrounding them are all these rising powers. You have King Gustavus Adolphus and his Swedish war machine to the north, and they're going to march across Europe and turn everybody Protestant. You have the Holy Roman Empire trying to maintain Catholicism and the rule of the Habsburg dynasty as the major force of Europe. You have the terror of the time, the Ottoman Turks, rushing across and about to take Vienna at any moment. And in the middle is Poland, trying to hold everybody off.
And this is and that's history.
That's actual history.
That's actually the history of it. And now it's a game.
It's a miniature game made by a bunch of great history fans in Poland. These guys are primarily reenactors. They dress up for the time period. They show up with swords and horses and armor and try to recreate history in an accurate way. We have a version of that in the United States with a lot of Civil War reenactors.
Yeah, well, LARPing has become a huge...
it's huge.
Pastime.
Right.
I hesitate to say hobby because it is so encompassing.
Right.
Much like we've talked to some of the gamers on the floor out there, much like gaming is now, it really is a pastime.
Right.
Like an athletic
a pastime
sport
for some, and it
or,
becomes an industry for others.
It is. It
with
really
manufacturing equipment, making clothes. Yeah, there's a whole industry attached to it.
And now, By Fire and Sword, how long has this game been out there?
The game has been published in Poland and other parts of Europe for, I think, about 5 years or so.
Okay.
So they've had a little bit longer to develop the brand in Europe. And Thomas Tomaszynski is the U.S. representative.
Okay.
He lives in Fort Lauderdale.
Wow.
And he does a fantastic job of promoting the game, and I'm really happy to volunteer for him.
That's fantastic. Now, is there a big following here in the U.S. now?
It's a big following, and it's growing every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, gaming is a big business.
Right.
In the U.S. especially.
Sure.
It is a huge industry.
Right. There are a number of companies that dominate the market, and now By Fire and Sword is one of the up-and-coming challengers. So.
That's fantastic, man. That is really good. So how did you get into gaming and into By Fire and Sword?
Well, gaming, I got into it years ago, and what is kind of traditional for a lot of kids, I was a nerdy kid. I got to play Dungeons & Dragons with my friends in high school.
We had the opportunity here on the show not long ago to interview Troy Dennings, who was one of the original designers of Dungeons & Dragons, and talk about his current work. And what an amazing, amazing resume. His books are obviously fantastic.
Right. And it's a fascinating story that goes on through an industry about that whole market. Yeah.
It is. And so and you started back then.
I started sometime in the early 80s.
Wow.
Yep.
Fantastic, man. And so what draws you to this type of gaming, to this type of environment?
One part, it's the creativity. One part of it is history, and the answering the what ifs.
Yeah, well, that's the amazing thing about some of these historical games is they're built on the premise of historical activities that have happened.
Right.
Okay.
Some of it is, and some of it's just purely fantasy.
And then, but you're asked as a game player to step in and do your own strategizing and do your own thinking. And we know one of the games over there in the main room today is an old World War II battle.
Right.
And the Nazis will do exactly what the Nazis did in World War II, and the opposition force, the players, will make their own decisions.
Or
See if it
sometimes
comes out
things will
the
go
same way.
radically different as somebody makes a radically different choice, and that's hilarious.
And that's fantastic. And then you get to see at the end, how did it measure up? Okay, well,
And sometimes you actually get to empathize with the people that get made fun of in history, going, oh, they shouldn't have done that, it was a stupid mistake. And you kind of empathize, going, now that I'm in their shoes, I can see why they had to make those difficult choices and why they had to choose from really bad options.
Well, sometimes it's easier to think of how they made what you consider a stupid mistake when you actually find yourself, albeit
with nothing but bad choices to choose
that's right.
from. Yeah.
What's the worst? What's the lesser of evils? And maybe it's the same as the.
Or what I have to do at this particular moment.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, obviously, the stakes are a little less. The bullets are smaller. They're really,
Right.
really, really small.
As H.G. Wells famously said, dead lead soldiers leave behind no lead widows or no lead orphans.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, we know that gamers, game designers, game creators, people who love to game are some of our, just most prolific freaks and geeks.
Yes.
We know that's who we are.
Yeah, we let our geek flag fly.
We let it fly hard. So we know that you guys obviously weigh in on some of the big issues of the day. Okay, so we're going to start with so this is a basic thing, and it's so timely right now. Cap or Iron Man?
Cap.
Team Cap?
Absolutely.
Team Cap all the way, all right. It was less than a month ago, we got another major matchup.
Yes.
Right? Batman or Superman?
My friend is a huge Superman fan. I am a Batman fan all the way.
Batman all the way,
Yes.
huh? Okay.
To me, Batman is the quintessential hero, and here's the reason why. He does not have superpowers. Every time he goes out there, he's risking his own life.
That's
and
an amazing
heroic.
observation, really, truly. When we look at the real heroes of our time, it's not about superpowers. It's not about just doing the right thing. All of those
He
things
is not
are
invulnerable
important.
to anything. He's just risking his life every time.
It's about putting yourself out there,
Right.
to do the right thing at all costs, and that's an important thing to remember in developing a hero and in gameplay. I mean, it's about creating heroes in the time. All right, well, we talked a little bit. We did get about talking to Troy over at Pensacon last month, and one of the questions we asked Troy, we'll throw to you. You get to take a ride with the Doctor anywhere in history, anywhere, anytime. Where do you go, man?
I'm going to give one really freaky answer.
Okay.
And it's going to be right at the end of World War I.
Okay.
There's the Paris Peace Conference, and there is President Woodrow Wilson, and he has a visitor that he kind of dismisses. The visitor turns out to be a Vietnamese guy that later we get to know as Ho Chi Minh.
Wow.
Before that, he was a pastry chef in Boston. And right, so his English is actually pretty good, and he tries to make a deal with Woodrow Wilson to say, if you help us gain our independence, we will give America favored nation trade status in Vietnam, in independent Vietnam.
Wow.
What would have happened if Woodrow Wilson had not been the racist and not dismissed this guy?
Well, that's amazing that you bring that up. We have anybody out there on the show, if you're on hangingwithshow.com, go on over to our blog. I actually, and with a little bit of help from another fellow gamer out there, Rick Parrish, who's walking around, he helps organize the event, and I actually put a thesis out that says that our current problems in the Middle East stem from the way, not necessarily the dismantling of, but the manner in which the Ottoman Empire was dismantled.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. The Sykes-Picot Agreement goes throughout the Middle East up till it hits what used to be the British Empire with the Durrant Line, and you're absolutely right.
And as brutal as the Ottoman Empire was, the
dismantling was handled really poorly.
Well, because
and we live with it today. You're right.
You have a brutal empire, but what you have is a brutal empire that is in control of a region. It's not tribal. It's not broken up into all of these disparate little countries with all of their own agendas. You have an empire, however brutal it is, that is keeping the world in check. It is also keeping them as a major power. People don't realize, I don't think, that in World War I, the Ottoman Empire entered the World War I as an equal with other
to Germany and Austria, and they wanted
right.
that Turkish manpower. You're right.
And so technologically and in the way thought and education was handled, the Ottoman Empire was an equal with the European and American powers.
Yes.
When we come to the end of World War I.
It has serious internal weaknesses, but as far as it's not any lesser than the Austrian Empire, and they didn't do too well in World War I either. So
And when we look around, we look at them and we say, hey, we have in today, when the modern world looks at the news and they see the Middle East and they say, my God, it's tribal, it's fallen backwards in time compared to the rest of the world. And you want to say, well, in 1900, it wasn't backwards in time. It was on par with the rest of the world. And then we advanced as a result of our coming out of World War I and then World War II, and they were stifled. And in the social stifling...
Well, also there's the artificial borders that get drawn. For example, Lebanon and Syria and Iraq, they have artificial borders designed for the particular needs of France and England just after World War I.
Yes. And
so today we have a disappearing border between Syria and Iraq, and it's a problem, but it's a problem that comes out of history, out of an artificial border to begin with.
It's amazing. That's an amazing period in time that shapes our 21st century today.
Yeah, we're going to have to. It's a problem that was planted then. We have to deal with it today and tomorrow. So yeah.
Exactly. Amen. Well, hey, you know what? Thank you so much, Ali, for
thank you
hanging
for
with
having
us,
me.
man.
Really
That about
appreciate it.
wraps us up on this segment of the show. Our special thanks go out to our friends over at Something Unique Magazine, Books, Chocolate, and Wine, the Florida Book News, Authors for Authors, Wordfire Press, and our great new friends here at the Historical Miniature Games Society. Happy 20th anniversary, guys. We're enjoying ourselves at the International Palms Resort at ReCon 2016. Keep coming back. Log on. Tune in. I've been I am GW Pomichter, not have been. I am GW Pomichter. We've been hanging with Ali Samiian, and we are hanging at ReCon 2016. Subscribe, log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next.